Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Sharmit. From this session, we are going to start another series where we will learn about the subqueries. Okay, so as we did during the join session, in the same manner we will proceed with the subqueries. First of all, we will understand what is subquery. Then we will discuss each and every type of subquery that we can use with different scenarios. So we will separate out all these part into multiple sessions, and also we will cover some real life based example where we will understand how we can write a query, or you can say how we can write a query with subqueries. Okay, so for this session, let's start with the definition. What is subquery? So subquery is a query where whenever we are utilizing more than one query in order to fetch some data from the database, then we can say that the part of the query is known as subquery. Okay, so you can see subquery is a part of another query. A query which is a part of another query is known as subquery. Clear? Okay, so to understand this, to explain this, what I will do, I will run one example that will clear all the concept regarding the subquery. And the subquery which we are going to discuss in today's session is the type is we can say scalar subquery. Okay, so let me show you one query first. So if I run this query, select star from Sharmit1 slash players. So this is a normal subquery. Sorry, this is a normal query. Why? Because we are just running simple query with one table, and we are just fetching the data from one table players. Correct? But if in the same query, if I run another query inside query, then it would be called as, it would be known as subquery. Clear? So this is a single query. If I hit enter, you can see here we have player ID and player name. Now understand the example. Then I will explain you what is scalar subquery. So here we have player ID and player name. Similarly, if I run another query, normal query, then it will show ODI score. This is ODI score table where we have player ID and score. Now understand the requirement, because from requirement and from problem statement, the thing would be more easier for you to understand the concept of subquery. Here in the second table, ODI score table, we have some score associated with some player ID. So what we want to show all the player name with their ODI goal. And in ODI goal, I want to show only the maximum score uh, from this table. Okay, not all the record, but the maximum score. So if you check here, the maximum score is 98. So I want that with in front of every player name there should be this 98 as a ODI goal, because this is the maximum score and it should be a goal for every player. Clear? So this is just a hypothetical example we have created. So let's see how we can achieve this, but with subqueries. So for that, let me show you one query. This is a subquery. Why we are saying this is subquery? Because we are running we are running query inside a query. You can see this is a query which is executed in this main query. So you can divide this entire query into two part: internal subquery, this is internal query, and this is outer query, inner query or outer query. We have two part. Okay, now whenever we are executing a query, two means a subquery, in that case firstly it will execute the inner query. Then whatever the output we are getting from the inner query will be populated or passed to this outer query, and then we will get the main result. So for time being, just focus on this outer query, or you can focus on the inner query as well, because although this query will execute it first, right? So let's discuss this first. So here just focus on this part. What we are doing, we are selecting the maximum scores from ODI score table. Just forget about this part, okay? Just focus on this selected area where we are just seeing the simple query, select max of scores from ODI score table. So what it will do, we are using aggregate function. It will fetch the maximum score from the ODI score table. Once we got this value, then we are passing this value to this outer query. Now forget about internal query and just focus on the outer query. So here what we are trying to do, we are selecting player name, and after comma it will fetch the value from this subquery. So what value it will return? It will return 98, because 98 is the maximum score from the maximum score fetched from the ODI score table. So this value would be 98, and then we are using alias name as ODI goal from players table. Okay, I hope it is clear. If not, then listen again what I'm saying. First of all, this query would get executed, and in this query just focus on this part. What we are doing, we are fetching the maximum score from the ODI score table. Once it is executed, as I already said that inner query always executed first, so once it is executed, it pass that value, whatever the output we are getting from here will be passed to this outer query. So what this outer query will do, it will select player name and the value which we are retrieving from this subquery as ODI goal from players table. This is the outer query. Okay, so let's hit enter and see what we have got. So here we have player name. If I press shift F8, you can see it is also printing 98 as a goal for all the players. Okay, now another question, why we are saying that this is a scalar query, or you can say scalar subquery, because the definition of scalar subquery is whenever a subquery is returning only single value, then in that case that type of query is known as scalar subquery. So you can see it is just providing only one single value, which is maximum of scores from ODI score table. So that means this is a scalar subquery. And why we are using this scalar subquery? In order to fetch the data in select, or in order to select the data. Okay, so here we are using subquery in order to select the data from subquery. Okay, and whenever we are using subquery, it execute the internal query first. So this part would get executed first, and then the outer query. So these are some interview question, like in subquery which part executed first. So you can say inner part will get executed first, and then the outer query get executed. Clear? So if I hit enter, you have already you have already done this data. Now quickly I will show you one example of sqlrpgle program, like how we can use the subquery inside sqlrpgle program. Although we have discussed this many times, so I will just show you this example, and for the upcoming session we will just focus on the different type of scenarios where we are using subqueries, not the programs again and again, because this thing we have already discussed many times. But for one time I will show you how we can use it. So here as usual, firstly we are declaring one constant with 5 times 0, and this constant we will use to verify the output of the query. Okay, whether it is executed properly or not, this thing we will check with the help of this constant. Then we have one data structure which we will use to store the output which we are retrieving from the query. Afterwards I'm setting the commit option to star none, and here we are declaring one cursor. So just write here exec sql declare ODI data scroll cursor for select player name comma select, and this is the subquery. You can see as ODI goal. So same query which we are executing here is copied here. So this what it will do, it will create the cursor, and then from that cursor we will fetch the data. So here I'm executing exec sql, open ODI data, we are just opening the cursor. After that, we are running one loop till the SQL state is equal to SQL state underscore valid, and then we are executing another SQL for fetching the next record from ODI data 2 into data DS. Afterward, we are just doing the normal validation. If SQL state is equal to 2000, then it means the query is uh, executed and reaches to the end of file. So it will print the message end of file and leave the query, leave the loop. Afterward, we are checking for the SQL state. If it is not equal with SQL state underscore valid and not 2000, then it means there is something wrong. So we will just print the message error encountered. And if everything is okay, then in that case it will display the player name and ODI goal. Then we are doing undo and executing the close cursor and setting the INLR equals to star on. So if I execute this program by calling it, you can see it is printing player name with goal, player name with goal, and likewise it will print for all the data, and at last it will print end of file. Okay, so this is the straightforward way to use the subquery inside sqlrpgle program. Only this part would get changed for different type of queries, because the main thing is this, the query, and the way you are retrieving the data should be matched with your host variable, because here I'm retrieving two values, so there should be two subfields. If you are fetching more values, then you can declare more fields. So I'm assuming that you have if you are referring this session, then it means you have already covered all the SQL RPG related topics, so that would be helpful for you. If not, then you can just go through the all session, because these sessions are in sequence, so in that case it would be more easier for you to understand the concepts. Okay, because from the upcoming session we will directly focus on the subquery part, like as today we have discussed about the scalar subquery. So scalar subquery is a query which returns single data, and this in this example we are using scalar subquery in order to fetch data or in order to select data. Okay, and the example which we have covered is related to cricket, where we are fetching the best where we are populating the player name along with their maximum, or you can say ODI goal. Okay, so yeah, that's all for the session. In the next session we will discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.